unraveling the mystery. The chilling true story of the Dyatlov Pass Incident. In the freezing cold of February 1959, 9 experienced hikers set out on a winter expedition through the remote Ural Mountains in what was then the Soviet Union. They were seasoned adventurers, students, and young professionals with a passion for the outdoors. But something went terribly wrong. Tents slashed open from the inside, bodies scattered across the snow, some missing eyes, one without a tongue, others with injuries so severe it looked like they'd been hit by a truck. But there was no vehicle, no explosion, no sign of struggle, just silence and death. When search teams finally found them weeks later, the scene was beyond comprehension. This is the Dyatlov Pass Incident, one of the most chilling, unsolved mysteries in history. The group was led by Igor Dyatlov, a respected mountain hiker at the Ural Polytechnical Institute. His team included 8 others, all in their early to mid-20s. Among them were Zinaida, Lyudmila Dubanina, Rustim Slobodin, and Semyon Zolotarev, an ex-military man with survival experience. Their goal was simple: to cross the northern Ural Mountains during winter. It was a difficult route, but not impossible. They followed strict guidelines for such expeditions, bringing food, gear, and emergency supplies. On January 23rd, they left the last known town behind. 5 days later, one member, Yuri Yudin, turned back due to illness. He would be the only survivor. By January 31st, the group had reached the base of Kolotsayakol, which means Dead Mountain in the local Mansi language. They decided to pitch their tent on the slope of the mountain, rather than go further down into the forested area. That night, something happened, something terrifying enough to make them cut their way out of the tent, barefoot, barely clothed, and run into the deadly cold. They had died of hypothermia, but some had bizarre injuries. Temperatures that night dropped as low as -30 degrees Celsius. Days passed. No word came from the group. Concern grew. A search party was launched. When the search team finally found the campsite, they discovered the tent still standing, but slashed open from the inside. These weren't just signs of cold or panic. These were signs of something violent. All personal belongings were still there. Food, diaries, clothes, yet the hikers had fled into the wilderness, wearing almost nothing. 5 bodies were found several hundred meters downhill, frozen in place. One had a fractured skull. Another had broken ribs. 2 had been found under a tree, curled up together, dead from exposure. But the real mystery began when the remaining 4 bodies were discovered months later, buried deep under the snow. One of them, Lyudmila Dubanina, was missing her eyes, her tongue, part of her lips, and even a piece of her skull. Semyon Zolotarev had a crushed chest, something we still don't understand. So what could have caused this? Well, over the decades, dozens of theories have emerged. Some say it was a military experiment gone wrong. Others believe infrasound, low-frequency sound waves, drove them mad. There are even those who suggest it was an attack by the indigenous Mansi people, angry about trespassing sacred land. Let's break down the biggest theories. The official explanation from Russian authorities says it was an avalanche. But here's the problem. The slope wasn't steep enough for a normal avalanche, and there was no visible debris. However, new research using advanced simulations suggests a delayed slab avalanche might have occurred. If wind carried snow uphill overnight, it could have built up pressure until suddenly collapsing, hitting the tent hours after they'd settled in. Some scientists believe the hikers were exposed to infrasound low-frequency vibrations that can cause panic, nausea, and disorientation. Volcanic activity, strong winds, or even atmospheric disturbances might have created these sounds. making the group flee in terror. Others point to secret Soviet military tests happening nearby. Witnesses reported strange lights in the sky the night of the incident. Some victims had traces of radiation on their clothing. Could they have stumbled upon a top-secret test? Was it a rocket, a mine, or even something more sinister? There are also theories involving Yetis, UFOs, and even psychic phenomena. While these may seem far-fetched, they reflect how deeply unsettling this case really is. When science fails to explain something, we turn to the unknown. Despite countless investigations, declassified documents, and modern forensic analysis, we still don't know exactly what happened on that mountain. Why did they leave the tent so suddenly? What caused the extreme injuries? Who, if anyone else, was there that night? The Dyatlov Pass incident remains a haunting reminder that sometimes nature, or something else, can keep its secrets forever. So what do you think happened up there on Dead Mountain? Drop your theory in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell, because next week we dive into another mystery that will send chills down your spine.